So this village...
Winston.
Right, Winston. What's its problem again?
Zombies have been rising from the cemetery.
Gotcha.
You see, this all began after the local priest mysteriously disappeared. It wasn't long after that when the undead started showing up. That's when the village elder sent out a request for adventurers to... Nepal? What are you doing? Is that a shotgun?
This is my boomstick.
What the fuck? Lesser undead, such as skeletons and zombies, form common low-level encounters in Dungeons & Dragons, so it seems fitting that our first new 5-room dungeon should incorporate them into its design. If you watched any of the previous videos in this series prior to the channel restart, you'll know that the 5-room dungeon is a design method developed by John 4 in order to create small yet varied dungeons which DMs can build quickly and efficiently. You'll find a link to John's article on 5-room dungeons in the description. This particular 5-room dungeon is set in the world of Unzerwelt in my homebrew campaign titled Unfriendly. You can learn more about this world from my previous video, the first in my campaign catalog series. But while this dungeon was built for a specific setting, it's also generic enough to include in any D&D world. Here are some points you as the DM should note before including it in your setting. The priest in the nearby town of Winston, Father Francis Doyle, went missing recently. Shortly after his disappearance, zombies began to rise from the cemetery just outside of town, forcing the village elder to put out a request for adventurers to deal with this new threat and hopefully track down the lost priest. Unknown to the other villagers, Father Doyle is under a curse and is looking for a means to remove it, which inadvertently led to the rise of the undead in the village cemetery. The PCs can discover the nature of the curse at the conclusion of this adventure. Zombies wander the cemetery and occasionally enter the village, but most stay within the graveyard. 4 zombies remain near the front gate and will attack the PCs when they enter. 2 other groups huddle at the opposite corners. A vengeful spirit, with stats similar to a ghost, hovers above the roof of the mausoleum while remaining invisible. It will imbue the remaining zombies with necromantic energy after the initial counter with the ones at the front gate, causing them to do an additional 1d4 points of necrotic damage on a successful hit. A shadowy aura emanates from these undead, indicative of their increased power. A metal-bound stone door leads into the mausoleum, yet the unlocked door will not open without sufficient force. This requires a DC 15 strength check if any undead are still present, otherwise it is automatically successful. Opening the door reveals a now overturned stone vase that was moved to block it from the inside. Sacred runes line the walls of this small yet regal building. A set of stone stairs at the back of the room lead down to the main crypt. Within the room are several heavy stone vases filled with dried flowers lining the walls, as well as a stone table dominating the center of the room. Sitting atop the table is a human skull and an open coffer holding a dozen sticks of incense. The skull is permanently enchanted with a Speak with Dead spell. Lighting a stick of incense triggers the spell. The skull belonged to a man by the name of Spencer Shadell, the priest and architect who led the construction of the mausoleum when Winston was founded. A conversation with it could reveal the presence of a secret door within the structure, which leads to a natural cavern upon which the building was constructed. However, due to the nature of the spell, the architect can only discuss what he knew in life, not any activities that occurred in the mausoleum after his death, such as who entered and blocked the door. Other restrictions of the spell, such as the number of questions that can be asked and time since the spell was last used, can be ignored. A stick of incense will burn for about an hour, during which time the party can converse with the skull. The walls of the basement are lined with a dozen crypts, all covered with the same runes as the first floor of the building. A large statue stands in the center of the room, and was built with a socket for a piece of jewelry, but it is missing. Other than the crypts and statue, the basement is empty. Only by discovering the secret door in back will the party be able to continue. The spirit that was pursuing the priest was unable to follow him into the mausoleum once the door was blocked because of the sacred runes inside. However, once the party opens the door, the spirit can enter the mausoleum. The runes prevent it from taking any hostile actions while within the structure, but it can maintain its invisibility. After they exit the mausoleum through the secret door in the basement, the spirit attempts to possess a member of the group, taunting the party by telling them of its plans to torture and kill the priest, then leaves the body and delves deeper into the cave. If it fails to possess a party member, it attacks until it successfully drops a PC, then flees to pursue its quarry. If the party does manage to defeat the spirit, it disappears in a vapor, but reforms the following night, as its duty is unfinished. Any persistent effects caused by the spirit, such as fear or aging, can be reversed by the sacred runes within the mausoleum simply by stepping back inside. A leather pouch containing a handwritten note lies just inside the cave. The note was written by Father Doyle, who states that his family is under a curse and is now pursued by a malevolent spirit. He entered the mausoleum to retrieve the Leavenworth amulet from the statue in the basement, knowing that it would protect him from the spirit for a time, then continued through the secret passage into the Underdark to evade the spirit. His final note is that he is unsure whether he will make his way deeper into the Underdark or return to the surface, but his only goal is to find a means to end his family's curse. The party will also find a copy of the religious text known as the Agnus Lacrima, which will be described in my later video on Advantage books. That does it for this episode. I hope you'll consider using this 5-room dungeon in your campaign the next time you need a mysterious cemetery encounter. Until next time, I'm David Watches.
And I'm Nepal Mandiath.
And thanks for watching. Special thanks to my longtime friend Bill Batchelor for creating the logo for this channel, and to Dylan Smith for the character art used in this and other videos. I couldn't have done it without them.
For more D&D tips, check out these hot videos.